So probably around 11, I actually went out of order with the series. So Army of Darkness was my first viewing of this franchise, and I rewatched that a couple times. Like I said, it was around like 11, and then once I got a little bit older, maybe around like 12, and I'd rewatch Army of Darkness a couple times. So around 12 is when I was allowed to dive into Evil Dead, because Evil Dead and Army of Darkness, even though they're in the same universe, they're two radically different movies with like the gore and the blood and stuff like that. It's not so much cursing or sex scenes or anything like that. It's just the intensity of like the killings and the violence and stuff like that. So Army of Darkness was first, and then Evil Dead followed by Evil Dead 2, and then, you know, obviously Army of Darkness again to complete the whole trilogy for me. But yeah, man, I was like 11 and 12 when I was watching these movies. So, I mean, if I got any psychological problems right now that are like underlining that I don't know of, it could probably be blamed from that. I don't think I was scared. I think that I was just like in awe with it. And I was instantly hooked. Like if you ask my family, if you ask anyone in my family, like I instantly became hooked with the movie, and I don't think anyone can figure out why. So I don't think that it was a scary thing to me. I mean, yeah, there's some gross parts of, you know, the maggots coming out of the face, and Scotty gets his eyes plunged out or gouged out or whatever you want to call it. But I was just kind of like entranced by it. I don't know. There's movies in your life that you just sometimes can't explain why you love them so much, or you can't explain enough. So probably a couple that stand out is the very end when, you know, Ash thinks that everything's over and he's walking out in the sunshine, and then all of a sudden you see the camera come in and bam, it ends just like that. And so that stands out. Another scene that stands out is probably when like they're having dinner, and you know, it's like right in the beginning, and then the cellar door bam comes open, and then going into it for the first time, stuff like that. Another one that stands out is, and this one actually is pretty creepy, and it's plastered all over posters and t-shirts, whatever, but it's that scene of her in the cellar peeking her head out. And yeah, that stands out. I really like the ending. Now that I'm rethinking about everything, I really like the ending, that you think that it's all over, but it's not. So the thing about Evil Dead 2 is it's better quality. You know, they got a little bit more money to work with this time around for the second one. The character of Ash really evolved into the heroic hero that we know him as. In the first one, he was, you know, freaked out, obviously, that his friends and girlfriend, he didn't really know what was happening, but they evolved his character into the second one, even though literally it picks up right where it leaves off. He's a radically different character in this second one. And you know, it's more of like a dark comedy. They threw more comedy in there. And I think the overall story is just a little bit better. So like, rather than 5 kids going into a cabin in the woods, it kind of tilts it on its head a little bit. He's all by himself. And then you have these, is it 4 strangers, Bobby Joe, I forget the hillbilly's name, and then the couple that they're supposed to meet their parents there. So you got these 4 strangers, no one knows each other. They come to the cabin and they meet Ash, where there's blood all over the place. He's got a chainsaw for an arm, his hand's cut off, and they have no explanation of where the parents are. So now you have all these characters thrown in the mix, and you got a character trying to explain to these people what is going on and why everyone's dead, blah, 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 whatever. And it's just an overall better story than just 5 friends going into the woods and reading from a book. Probably the first one that comes to mind as my favorite is when he's first cutting off his hand. It got into my hand and it went bad. And you see that change in his hand. It does like the graphics of it going bad. He cuts it off. Who's laughing now? You know, epic scene. Blood spraying all over his face. That is the best scene in the whole movie. And then after that, it follows up with him fighting his hand flicking him off, throwing dishes at him, all that stuff. Him shooting at the wall to try and find the hand. So that stands out. I like the part when he's battling Henrietta and cuts off his head. We'll swallow your soul. Swallow this. So watching it as a kid, I definitely found more of the comedy than the horror and action in it. That was what drew me to it, is because each movie there's more and more comedy, but they never crossed that line of it being like too much comedy. But the Army of Darkness movie, the fact that they're in a different time period, they're in, medieval era, and the comedy, and then it had that horror. Like, I've always been drawn to horror, and it was just something I was really able to sink my teeth into and say, yeah, I really like this, even though I don't know what came before it, but this is something that I was able to watch for the first time and kind of sort of like understand the mythology without even seeing the first two. But then once I saw the original two, that's when I really was like, yeah, this franchise is for me. But yeah, Army of Darkness, probably, if I had to rank the movies, I love them all, but Army of Darkness would probably be number 2 for me, followed by the original Evil Dead. So yeah, if I had to rank them, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and then the original Evil Dead would be my favorites, would be my rankings. Two straight away came right into my head. The first one of him being in that cellar when he gets captured with Henry the Red's men and he's fighting the Deadite, and he comes up after the battle. This is my boomstick, such shop smart, shop smart. Got that? And also another one is, it's kind of a callback to their first two movies, because every time one of the Deadites pretends to be dead, someone reaches for them and they attack them, and that happens in this one. And you're thinking, if you've seen all the movies, you're thinking, oh, come on, they're faking it. And they even show the Deadite grinning and like growling, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna attack you. He grabs his hand. He grabs his hand. He says, hurry, get an axe. Yo, she bitch, let's go, as he's loading the shotgun. Another one is 3 books. Nobody said there was gonna be 3 books. And then he's opening up the books and all this weird stuff is happening. He's flying away, he gets sucked in and his jaw, disforms and stuff like that. He has to shake it back. And then he's like, oh yeah, the lines. I don't even want to continue. It was definitely an N-word. He's mumbling the word, he's looking around and, okay, all right, I guess I'm going to take the book now. Did you say the words correctly? Yeah, I said your damn words, yeah. And then when he defeats Evil Ash and he's burying him, hey, you got something on your face. He throws the dirt on him. And then, Evil Ash is like, we're going to come and get you, blah, 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 blah. And Ash says, good, bad, I'm the guy with the gun. I just want to end with saying that everyone, whether it be Star Wars, Marvel movies, The Godfather trilogy, like Lord of the Rings, they all have their fans and stuff, but at the end of the day, people love those movies because it's a movie or a franchise that you can watch any day of the year. You can watch with anybody. You can watch when you're sick. You can watch when you've had a bad day. And for me, for some reason, these Evil Dead movies do that for me. If I'm sick, I will watch this movie while I have the flu laying in bed. If I am just having just such a bad day, I can turn on Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 2 and, you know, it makes my day a little bit better. So, and then it's even better when I can introduce this movie to someone that hasn't seen it before, because then I'm not even watching the movie, I'm watching their reaction to the movie. So yeah, I just want to close with just that one last thing about the franchise and my thoughts.